Hi, I'm Mario Guerra, the two-time former mayor of the great city of Downey. And you're watching Talking Downey with Mayor Mario. Today we got a special guest. We have our police chief, Scott Loughner, that's been with our community for many, many years, shows great leadership, and has been able to lead our department through some trying times. So, Chief, welcome. We're glad to have you here.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
So, tell us, you've been here 23 years?
26 years.
26 years.
I was hired in August of 1999 as a police officer recruit and was sponsored through Orange County Sheriff's Academy and been here ever since.
Wow. And you are the 8th police chief?
I'm the 13th.
13th. Okay, you're right. I forgot a couple of the last one. 13th police chief. The city of Downey, our police department, has a great history. And if you ever go to City Hall or to the police department, there's a great picture there of the very first police department. And then, of course, when we celebrated our 50th anniversary and so forth. So, Chief, you've been like not all of them, like most chiefs, you worked your way up through the ranks. How has that been an advantage to you because of knowing our community and knowing our staff and our team?
Yeah, having the inner workings of the department and the community goes a long way. I recently sat on oral interviews for another surrounding agency for a police chief position, and you have the internal candidates and the external ones, the ones trying to come in. And a lot of the external candidates have a lot of, a really good resume, a lot of qualities and things that you're looking for in a chief. But the inner workings of the department and coming up, and what I always say is you have more buy-in to the community.
Yeah.
I'm not coming here just for a job. I'm coming here to finish my career, and I want to see the city continue to be safe, and I want to get the next wave of people to come in and sit in my spot too. And,
Right.
You have a lot more buy-in to it, and I've always been involved in the community. A lot of participation with gangs out of Downey, and just it's very rewarding. And having that inner knowledge made it a lot easier for my transition. Just with a lot of different department heads that we work with, and having the history of the department and the city, and kind of knowing, having that background, really, it does help a lot.
Yeah, it makes a big difference. And by the way, so our gangs out of Downey, our backpack giveaway, so the chief for many years, and his wife has come out with him. If you saw those 500 or 600 hot dogs that all those families did on there, that's the chief literally cooking it on there with Rosario. And so our police department has always been a big supporter of gangs out of Downey. But personally, here's the chief taking his time on a Saturday with his family coming there. So it's pretty special. So, sir, tell us, and I'd be remiss if I didn't ask this, because our hearts are broken from an event that happened last week here. We pride ourselves in the city of Downey of having a great police and fire department, of course, our awesome school district, but our lower crime and our relationship with our police department. But we had a tragedy that happened last Saturday in front of the Downey Library. I know you can't tell me, there's investigations, you can't talk all about it, but what can you tell us, and how can you tell our residents that, you were trying to do something?
Yeah, so obviously it was a tragic incident, something that we certainly fortunately we don't have to deal with too much in Downey. Our goal every year is for 0 homicides. This was our 2nd homicide of the year. And this one really hit home. Obviously it was close to the police department and the Civic Center. So what I can say is that, there was a confrontation. I can't say specifically what it was about, but it led to the tragic death. And then obviously, somebody else intervened and left in one of our fire ambulances, which led in another pursuit. The suspect fled. But what I can say is the officers that were on scene, the initial scene, did a phenomenal job. The high school, Downey High School, has a band. I think it was a competition, but band competition. You have a murder suspect fled that way, and 2 officers immediately went into action and took that person to custody. The pursuit obviously continues. Officers trying to render medical aid. So there's a lot of stuff going on, but to have that murder suspect in custody immediately was phenomenal. And the job they did in the pursuit and getting that to as good of a conclusion as we could And then even then when our detectives rolled in, there's obviously a lot of follow-up investigation that we're doing. Obviously, we've made the arrest, but now we have to do everything that we can to ensure that the suspect is brought to justice, and ensuring that we're doing everything right to make sure that he is convicted and is punished accordingly. But we are, we're hearing a lot of the community's concerns about safe downtown area. I can assure you we're doing foot patrols at night. We've been doing them even before this, trying to ensure that the transient population isn't congregating there and moving along. And we want the community to feel safe when they're coming to the library or City Hall. And I can assure you that this is an isolated event as far as something of this nature. And we'll do our best to make sure that the Civic Center and the entire city is as safe as it can be.
Sure, and we appreciate that with your leadership. So there's cameras all over the place there too, right? The majority of the places.
Yeah, the City Hall has a lot of different cameras throughout the complex. So there's a lot of evidence that I believe is going to lead to successful prosecution.
Right.
And our hearts go out to the family. It's a tragedy, and we'll continue to work with the family to make sure justice is brought.
I think the family is working. They're going to have a vigil, but a longtime family, a longtime resident here in the city. It shouldn't happen to anybody, and obviously those are the concerns. So Chief, you've mentioned some of our great staff. So folks, last year, you and I, as residents of the city of Downey, we said we put such a premium on our police department and our public safety, our police and fire, that we want to pass a bond or a sales tax increase to tax ourselves. This is one of the things that we all can come together. Doesn't matter which side of the aisle or who you are. As a resident of Downey, we said, the majority of us, by far, said, we want to do this. So, Chief, tell us a little bit about that anymore. What has that done for the department? I know it's only been a short period of time, but we've started. But what has that done for recruitment, for retention, for equipment? What have you been able to do with some of those Measure D funds that have already started? And it's only the first year, I believe, too.
Yeah, so it just started. So the Measure D funds, and even this is the second measure, and Measure S obviously was the first one, but.
Right.
What Measure D on paper brought us was, 12 new sworn officers, but also brought me a lot of different non-sworn positions, our civilian, our professional staff.
Right.
That includes parking enforcement, community service officers. I believe it was another dispatcher, and there's the training coordinator, another office assistant. So people will look at just the sworn people, but it's the professional staff that, they're the ones that are behind scenes a lot of time that without their support. Our officers can't go out and do their own thing. So
what do we have? We have 121 sworn and a couple hundred.
So this puts us up to 137.
Oh my gosh!
So I'll hear different numbers brought up in council meetings.
This is by far I served on the council and was there twice for 8 years, and we thought we did push it from 110 to 120 or something during that era. But I hadn't heard the new number, and that's amazing. That's big, folks.
137.
Wow, it's great.
Yeah.
And our total police department is a couple hundred, right, altogether?
I believe we're 100 for our full-time staff. We're around 183, I believe, give or take, and then we have some other part-time non-sworn people as well. So,
full disclosure, okay. The chief is not technically, he's my boss, okay? I've been proud to be the chaplain for the police department since 2002. So a police department is, a paramilitary organization, right? So you follow the chains of command. So he is 5 levels above me from that standpoint. I am the bottom of the totem pole. When I go on a ride along with a police officer, and I get to know them and so forth, I always say, listen, I'm not here spying on the chief's behalf, unless you do something, illegal. What happens in the car stays in the car, because that way officers get an opportunity to talk to me. I've been blessed to be in good times too. I've done weddings for our police, I've done baptisms. But unfortunately, we're there together when the tragedies, and that's when I get involved. But he is my boss. He can fire me at any time as he chooses. But we've been blessed. We've had great police chiefs, and when he got the job, I'm like, okay, our city's in good hands. So It's ironic that Measure T, I was really involved in that. I was chaired the oversight committee on S, and then I chaired now the one on D. I just got fired last month, but I think it's all put into place, okay? That I think you guys are going to be rolling it. You got a good council that cares about how you spend the money.
Yeah, and myself and City Manager Bradley went out to a lot of the community events, and if we didn't believe in the measure, I know myself, and he's my boss. He could tell me what to do too, right? But we wouldn't have gone out there and trying to be transparent about what the whole measure was for, and for it to pass has just been phenomenal for us as a department to be able to grow. And it still leaves other monies for the fire department as well as us for other projects that might be coming down the road. So I'm very excited about it. We certainly wouldn't have been able to grow the department without Measure D passing.
Yeah. There was a few naysayers. I'll probably cut this out, but the person that replaced me was the biggest naysayer on this whole project, and he just got appointed to take my place. But sir, so tell us about recruitment. Tell us about policemen, police officers throughout the country have been maligned. We've had a reputation being so community-based, and you guys have earned the trust of our residents for many years. I remember a couple years ago during the George Floyd riots, when we had those drive-throughs there at City Hall, when the police department, we stood there and we, the residents, drove through and basically thanking them, and it was huge turnout. So you've earned that credibility with us. When they speak, we listen as residents because they've earned the trust of that. So tell us what does that do for recruiting in the country right now and all the different things going on? How has been recruiting, and is it harder to be a police officer these days?
Recruitment and retention is the forefront for every agency. You'll see everybody's throwing out signing bonuses, or maybe trying to get people in and giving them promises, for lack of better words, of, hey, you might get a specialized assignment, or you might get this or that. So everybody's competing for the same people, and there's not a big long line of people looking to do it. And we still do a thorough background on people. We're not going to bring in anybody that doesn't meet our standards. And some people have asked me in the past, hey, can't you just lower it a little bit? And I said, as soon as I lower that, I'm going to have a long-term problem. And that's one thing I take pride in our department was we don't have scandals. But it's very difficult. And one of the things, obviously salary comes into play, and making sure the officers are being properly equipped and proper training. That's the same spiel everybody's going to give, right? But in a department meeting, I was asked, in public, tell us why should we stay with Downey? And kind of going along the lines you said, the public support that we get. And I said that doesn't happen. People away from work will ask me, during the George Floyd or the ICE stuff, like, hey, what's going on? I said, nothing's going on. We have the support. And I remember the George Floyd stuff, the first protest we had, we're all ready to go, and I think there was 150 protesters. And across the street in Brookshire was 300 supporters. And then the second protest had maybe 25 people, and then the last one had maybe 3 or 4. But that's it, that public support. And in bad times, the community has always come to support us. And I'll use, Ricky Galvez's 10-year anniversary is coming up, and going through that and then seeing all the support from the community. That's why I stay in Downey.
If you don't remember, he mentioned it, so I will say, and November is coming up again, 10-year anniversary. Ricky Galvez, bright future veteran Marine. That has served tours with a big smile. Everybody loved him. He was trained. He was an agitator for our canine, and that means you put on a big outfit and you let the dogs bite you. Okay, so he came back to the station to change, and he went around the back. And after he changed and cleaned up and said hello to his brother was a jailer, I think, at that time.
He worked there. He actually didn't even make it into the station.
Oh, he did make it into the station.
He pulled a return from the agitator. And
so he's on his phone there on the side of the station, and bad guys came, and they put a gun through the window and shot him, and he passed away. And it just took away so much life from our department, our community, because he was a bright future, great guy, and needless, senseless killing on there. But I'll tell you, some of our officers, I believe Prentice started that and a couple other ones, that they heard the gunshot and then they went on to the chase. And I think we caught the bad guys in some other city, and they're being prosecuted, a couple of gang members, and they had done some robberies. And there's questions whether they even realized that they were at a police department down there because Ricky was a. Anyways, it's something that we're always going to live with. We've had 2 officers die in the line of duty. Officer Wayne Presley, that was killed by a drunk driver as his motorcycle, as he was on the side of the road given a citation. And then, of course, Ricky Galvez. So they always will be special. I personally knew Ricky. We had done we had worked at servers at Carino's when the Tip a Cop night. And we had a great time doing that on there. But he just took everybody's heart away. So our 10-year anniversary.
10 years.
Wow. That morning was one of the saddest days of my life. And we all rode to the coroner's office following Ricky's casket. And it was something we'll never forget. But the one thing is we need to always remember that. And we commemorate it. I can't say we celebrate it, but we recognize and commemorate the day because he was that important to our police department. And when you see our officers wearing 172 or you see anything saying 172, know that was Ricky's badge number. And so he will never, ever be forgotten in our department on there. And you're right, I thought it was the 9 years.
Yeah.
So, sir, you've been using a lot of social media positively for working together for our community, because sometimes our city says, what are you doing? Not our city, some residents say, what are you doing and how come this, or I didn't see any officers at my block and so forth. But I'm really glad that you're using social media to recognize or to say this is what we did. You just got just on stopping a car, had a gun, big bag of marijuana and a couple other drugs and stuff like that. But so the attitudes changed from maybe 7-8 years ago when it was kind of like, why do that? But now it's like residents, we're doing stuff. What's your attitude on that, sir?
Yeah, social media can be your best friend or it can be your worst enemy, right?
Just certain council people. Never mind.
No, I'm not going to get involved in
No,
political,
you're not.
the way you use the social media it gives us a chance to tell our side of the story, get out in front of stories. Sell us. We're a great department. You'll see, on the news, the only time they're really talking about the police is when it's in a negative light.
Yeah.
This is our chance to show the proactive stuff that we're doing. And that's the message I'm telling my officers. Be proactive and go out there and do these types of things, because all that does is improves the safety of the community, the quality of life. It's not just about putting a stat on the stat sheet or something like that. It's about making an impact and difference in the community. But I really like the social media component of it. It's something that we've done a lot of growing on. We're going to continue to grow. We got some other recruitment videos coming out, some different stuff that we've been doing.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to that. The first one involves our Park, the Park brothers, our twin officers.
Yeah.
And there's going to be a whole series of that. And a great way for us to just really showcase our department. And it kind of goes into recruitment and different things like that and get that community support. Things, you mentioned 7 or 8 years ago, things we would have done different. We've had a couple critical incidents in my time as a chief where we've done critical incident videos. We'd never done that before.
Yeah.
But I felt it was important to, take some of the heat off of the incident and, finger pointing at the police department. It's just kind of like the tragic event this past weekend. I can't give everything, but I want to try and give as much as I can to dispel the rumors. And, people want the information immediately, and a lot of times it's like, I need a little bit more time, and we'll get you other information out. Because we'll hear all the rumors that I can't just address. But
I know.
People run with a lot of rumors that aren't the truth, and I can't come out with their thing. But social media does give us that opportunity to at least give as much as we can with, without giving away, the investigative leads and the convictions and things like that.
You're right, the attitude, but also just the way it's run. So when I was on the council, especially the year I was mayor, and we had, we had a couple shootings. And as mayor, I got to go into the chief's office and see the video. and so forth, which exonerated our police department. I mean, one of your captains on there, Captain Perino, I mean, he's great at tech, and we went through it with the whole team at that time. And I'm like, let's just put this out, let's just show this on. And at that time, that wasn't considered wise, right? So it never did get out, and I've always had that in my heart, like, people don't know what a good job you guys did. And we were one of the first departments there to have cameras. I remember that, and I remember that most police officers or departments, at least, or some of the police unions says, oh, we don't want Big Brother watching us. But you guys were smart enough to say, this is going to exonerate us more than anything else. What are your thoughts on some of the technology, including cameras? The city of Downey was one of the first ones to actually do that.
To me, the cameras thing was the best thing that could have happened. I always thought probably 99.99% of the time, the video exonerates our officers.
Yeah.
And, the history for us of getting them was we had a use of force and a pursuit. Guy had gone through pursuit through several cities, ended up ending in our city.
Yeah.
And that outside agency had a camera in their car. And this was probably in 2002-ish.
Yeah.
So over 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And it caught some of what happened.
Yeah.
And so based on that incident, they put them...
Is that the guy smoking the cigarette right there?
No. So now I'm getting at that, which
Yeah.
worked out well,
Yeah.
because then we put... The first cameras that we had were put in our accident investigators' cars.
That's right.
And that happened, the one you're talking about.
Yeah.
That was an officer-involved shooting in 2001, I believe.
Yeah.
And there was video from somebody on the side that made it look like this person was just executed, whereas the video from the in-car camera really exonerated and showed the true story.
The movement from the guy. Yeah.
So from that point, the body-worn cameras, the motors started getting them. And then after that other the shooting there in 2001, we put them in all of our cars.
Yeah.
So before everybody really got on the trend of body-worn cameras, we already had it in the cars.
Yeah.
Our motors were wearing them as body-worn.
Yeah.
So then it was a transition for officers. Some thought,
Right.
Big Brother's going to be looking over your shoulder and all that. And there were some growing pains at the beginning. And I was on our Police Officer Association as one of our representatives at that time. And it was just more making sure that the Big Brother stuff wasn't there. But, I mean, it has saved us countless times.
Yeah, it wouldn't be. And I remember a team went with me to Independent Cities, the public safety seminar that we had out in Santa Barbara. And at that time, I believe it was Chief Campos, but it with you and your team, and I don't remember if you personally, but the team, and they had a whole presentation on it. So my job was to come back and make sure that the council would vote on that, would go for that, and everything else. And that was the start of a great thing.
Yeah.
And I remember some early incidences in a good, positive way. So a resident would get mad at a police officer for giving him a citation, which is standard. Oh, come on, and blah, blah, blah. So then they would come into the station, says, I want to press charges on Officer, Smith. And the sergeant would come out, sure, what did Officer Smith? Oh, he was rude, he was this, he was that, and blah, blah, blah. Okay, great. You know what, ma'am? Let's look at the tape. And when you told them that, they would freeze up. What do you mean, there's tape of this on there? And then you show them the tape, and of course, Officer Smith treated them very professional. So it was the best thing that could have happened to our officers. And I think everybody knows that now.
And it happens now. Everybody's got their smartphone with their camera on it.
Yeah.
And they're like, go ahead and record us. We've been recording you for 20 years. So have at it.
So, Chief, I have to ask when we said that, too, just for our resident standpoint, and I know you've said it out loud before in the last couple of months. So the ICE raids, okay, that have happened here in the city, your position, obviously, I think yours is the same as Chief Tim McDonald's from L.A. on there. Tell us what our police department's position is on some of the ICE raids.
Yeah, everything falls under SB 54, which was enacted that prevents us from participating in any kind of immigration enforcement. Right. So we stay away from it. If an ICE agent or a federal agent's in the city, we don't get involved. They're allowed to drive around. They're federal agents. The only time we'll get involved is if an agent's in trouble and he's being assaulted. We're going to go out see. It's another officer. We're going to go protect him. On the flip side, if somebody's calling us and like, hey, well, they don't think this is, a real agent, we're still going to drive by. We're not going to interject ourselves in it. But we'll verify. Okay, yeah, that's a nice person. But everybody thinks that ICE notifies us when they come in town. They may have used to, but
Yeah.
they're not calling very often, and it's frustrating for us. I give you an example on the, there was one. I think it was that day after our council meeting, so it was on a Wednesday, but it was the first day, and I think it's what kind of got everything going. It was they were in town all day and going around, and everybody's like, "Hey, how come you guys aren't checking us?" Well, I was. Myself and other officers were driving around the downtown area, and I got to. It was. Myrtle and Third.
Yeah,
And
right
we
there
see
by
something,
OPH. Yeah.
All of a sudden the car leaves. So then I drive around, and long story short, I come and make a complete loop, and I come down. All of a sudden somebody thinks that I'm ICE because I'm in an SUV. They see my car initially, and they jump in the middle of the street, and they're recording me. I'm like, wait, I'm in uniform. I'm down. Oh, okay. But just to reassure people, we're there. We don't want any of our citizens. There's a lot of the branding of that people are being kidnapped.
Yeah.
And, obviously, we're going to make sure the community's safe, but we don't participate in it at all. Their tactics, I don't want to get all the political stuff, but the politicians are doing what they can at the state level right now. Everybody's like, why aren't the local officials doing it?
You can't.
I
You can't. Your hands are tied, literally.
Yeah, our hands are tied. So
you
we'll follow this state law, and who knows where this is going to take us. But
Right.
I can assure you, we do not participate in any of the immigration enforcement. Even if we have somebody in custody, like they get released, and even if they have a federal warrant, we're not calling to make notifications on those either.
Chief, and I remember some of the frustration that our police had in the last couple of years. And this is not political, but just there was a philosophical difference with our district attorney that you make an arrest and it wouldn't matter because they would be out, no bail kind of thing on there. Is there a difference now? And I know we passed the proposition to make, to get lower some of the standards of Prop 47, but it hasn't really been funded per se by the state budget. Have you noticed a difference, or our officers did? Because morale was pretty bad among not just ours, but most police departments on there. A bad guy, you arrest him 3 days in a row, and he's back out doing the same thing. What are your thoughts on that? And I don't know if you can even comment on that.
I can comment a little bit. The previous regime, they had their directives that essentially you could arrest somebody for drunk in public, and our officers go out there and get in a fight with them. It was an automatic DA reject. So you get that, and if you're an officer, you're going, I just worked my butt off. I got in a fight with this person.
Right. Could have got hurt.
Yeah, you're not going to file anything on this person. Yeah. So then the question would be, well, why am I even going out and doing this?
Right.
And then us as management are like, it's still your job, still got to do it.
Right.
So there definitely was that frustration. But when the new regime took over, you immediately were hearing officers like, hey, they're actually filing this stuff. I had to go to court and go to the arraignment and the preliminary hearing or whatever it might be. And it's still not a perfect system because now where do you put all the people?
Right.
And that's we don't want to overpopulate the local jail, so there's got to be some give and take with it.
But
it still is a problem, and I can say that if we have somebody that's been arrested 10 times in a 3-year period, that person should be incarcerated and in prison.
Right.
And unfortunately, we still do see some of these things where people in those examples are out there still committing crimes, and that still is frustrating for the officers. And it's not a perfect system, but it's definitely heading in the right direction.
Yeah.
And the current regime is definitely communicating with officers. The DA came by our department about 3 or 4 weeks ago to just address the guys. Nothing.
Wow.
Didn't really have an agenda. In my 26 years, I've never had a DA coming into our station, at least just to talk. It wasn't politically motivated. It was just, hey, I want to hear you guys out if you guys have any issues and problems. So
that's awesome.
I appreciate him coming and doing that.
That's awesome.
That was outstanding.
It seems as there change. Well, we residents in the state of California, I think it was 68%. We did make this political, but it didn't matter which side of the aisle, to pass the proposition last November, to help some of those crimes made, punishable, if you will. So crime has always been an issue for all of us. So we're grateful for that. Sir, a couple more questions and I'll wrap it up. Number one is we've had this great relationship with Downey Unified School District. And I know because you're a great member of Gangs Out of Downey, we've always supported the police resource officers on the campus. And folks, if you don't know that, there is a Downey police resource officer at our high schools. and our students interact with them. They see them in uniform. They see who they are. It makes them, touch them, feel them. There's just a person, a real person. Most of them are dads and so forth. So I think it desensitizes the police bad, whatever. They see them. So is that something that's going to continue? I know it is because I just saw them at Downey High School the other day, and I know that we funded some from gangs out of Downey. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I was, I go back to, I think in 2001, I first became, it was on an overtime basis, one of our school resource officers. And so it's been going on for at least 25 years.
Yeah.
The district has put a lot of money into the program and the school resource officers. We now have a full-time officer dedicated to both Warren and Downey High School. That's the school district paying for that, 100% of that officer's salary. And then it's continued with one on overtime over at Columbus High School. So there's an officer on all three of our campuses at all time. But
That's great.
You're talking about the benefits of having somebody there, and really the full-time one's great because now it's not just seeing that one officer one day a week. You're seeing that same officer throughout your 4 years at the school. And, some people that might want to go into law enforcement or just have questions. And it shows that we're regular people. And it builds those relationships, and that's why we have such a good relationship with the community, is because of those types of things.
Right. Sir, and last question. You came in, you've been an experienced officer here, and you moved up through the ranks. You've had a great career, and then, of course, I was cheering for you. I knew that you'd make a great police chief.
Thank you.
When you came in, is there any new initiatives that are going to take some time in the next couple of years to do, or any things that you want to promote or you're talking about? First of all, I know in the last couple of years you've been a big supporter of the canines, but we have a happy canine too, which is it's just a great feel good, but it works. It really works, and everybody gets to touch her and everything else out there. If you don't know what I'm talking about, oh my gosh, what is our dog's?
Howdy.
What's that?
Howdy.
Howdy.
The most popular thing in the department.
Absolutely. And she's got a good handler there. So the two, but Howdy is this beautiful white lab, and it's just goes out and makes people happy, and goes to different places. But you're right. What the most important person in there? I'm joking, of course, but. What are the things that we can look forward to that maybe are going to take some time? But what was your philosophy coming in and some of the initiatives? And I know some of the things you got working are works in progress, if you will.
Yeah, we touched on it a little bit. The first thing was our recruitment and retention of officers. Literally the first year, as the chief, it was, we were running around and going and trying to get the support for Measure D so we could grow and increase it. And we were extremely short even before then, and with our officers. So. We're making progress. There's always going to be the need for the hiring, but that's a big one. And for me to be able to do a lot of the different things and different assignments, I have to obviously have the staff. I have to make sure that the patrol is staffed before I can start putting them somewhere else. But other things that I'm very excited about, you mentioned the canines. We're down a couple canines, but we're going to get those filled. We're growing our motor team again. We're up to 7 motors. Got approval for 8. I can see that continuing to grow.
That's awesome.
Technology is a big one. Drones. We have a lot of different drone pilots right now. I don't necessarily want to be the first one doing it. Let some of the other cities try it out a little bit, but using that like as a drone as a first responder or something down the road in the future.
I've heard of a couple of cities starting the same thing. You're right.
And just technology. Technology is ongoing and changing. The way we write reports is going to change with AI and those different things like that. But one of the things I really want to get our people doing, continue being proactive, making those great arrests, but community involvement. I've always been very big on volunteering, and it may sound corny, but it's that trust bank, right? We're making the deposits in, right? We're doing those good things. It's inevitable at some point we're going to make a mistake and do something dumb, right? I better have that money to pull out my trust bank when that happens, and I'm proud to say that we have that here in this city. But those are the different things, and really continue to build that culture. We have a lot of new people, and we have a lot of people that have been here a long time, and working together and having just that one culture, treating everybody fair, and make it that reason why they want to stay with the Downey Police Department.
There's a reason why it's hard to become a Downey police officer. It really is. Folks, for me, it's over 20 years. It took 9 months of background check just become chaplain. Okay, and I don't carry a gun, and so forth. So it is very difficult to become a police officer in Downey. And you know what? As a resident, I want it that way. We don't want just anybody. Some of the things that you're talking about, or you can see. You can see progress throughout our community, and you're right. You do have a bank full of money, to be able to make sure that our city is safe. And the one thing that's interesting is, so I ride along as the chaplain. I'm on call unfortunately, when bad things happen. When our phone rings in my house before 7 a.m., everybody in my family knows that my house phone rings first. Hey, jump, let's get it, because it means usually that somebody didn't wake up, that somebody deceased in the family wants a chaplain, or when I get a call. And they're tragedies, but I'm glad to be there with our officers and hopefully help the family, just calming down and praying with them and being there and helping them work through things so the officers can do what they got to do on scene. But on my ride-alongs, there's so many new ones. And it's I've always wanted to, when I do a ride along, I want to ride with somebody new. I can pick my friends and have a great time and that evening on there and talking, but I want to pick somebody new. I want to get to know them. I want them to get to know me. But now it's a lot of people and stuff.
It's been a lot.
So
I was talking to somebody, I don't have the exact numbers, but I think we probably have 40% of our department has less than 5 years on now. So it's a lot of change, it's a lot of growing pains. We lost over the last 5 years with those people leaving, it was a lot of previous supervision that had left, and we lost a lot of years of experience. And so there, with change comes some growing pains, but proud of all of them. We've hired some really good people, and we have great people in our department, and that's the one thing I can say, and I know that we have the best of the best. We're not going to lower our standards, and I'm proud of every person that we have.
Yeah, and it starts with leadership, folks. Our Downey Police Chief, is there anything, that camera there, or if you want to say anything directly to the people of Downey on there as we wrap up? Anything about the department or anything you want to tell them? Any message that you want to make sure our residents hear?
Yeah, I just want to assure the public. I'm very proud to be the police chief of the Downey Police Department. We're surrounded by a great team of sworn and professional staff. We hear what the community wants. We really know that the homeless is an issue, and the city is working with that. There's a homeless solutions manager. We have CityNet that the city is investing money in, and our officers are out there doing bi-weekly cleanups. Safety is priority. We're going to make sure we're as proactive as we can, ensuring that this community stays safe and your quality of life increases. So I will be 100% committed to this city. God willing, I'll be here at least another 4 or 5 years. And we'll continue to grow and do the best that we can.
Great. Well, thank you, Chief. Folks, this podcast is made possible by Financial Partners Credit Union. 80 some odd years, 90,000 members. And I do want to bring it up because Loughner, their CEO, and myself, we were asked by Roger Bradley, our city manager in Vania Roja, we sat right here, if we would chair Measure Measure D to get more money for our police department. That's why I'm bringing it up. And Loughner not only is the sponsor, a financial partner sponsor of this show, and this show is pretty clean. It's about getting information, getting you to meet amazing people in our community. We have another one that's politics, and I don't get into politics so much on this one. But just to let you know that Financial Partners Credit Union is our sponsor, good people, and Loughner and I were the two co-chairs for the Measure D that is bringing in a lot of money for our police department for keeping us safe, you and I as residents. We thought that was important enough, and it was like 70% of us, which is an outrageous number to vote on. So anyways, Chief, can't thank you enough.
No, thank you.
I consider you a friend, and I love what you're doing, and we're always here. And folks, if you have any questions or any thoughts, I always do this. My cell number, 562-706-4114, 562-706-4114. I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments, and even your congratulations to our great chief. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Talking Downey.